Okay, decided to do an updated garden tour video today. I'm going to start with the kids' garden. Over on this side, we're seeing lots of tomatoes on their little cherry tomato plant. I did have them harvest a few earlier. Back here, we've got the zinnias, and they did cut some a few days ago, and we're enjoying those on the table. Down here, I've got a new Gerber daisy bud, and these are looking good. The pole beans were starting to get unruly, so I gave them something to climb up on, and this actually was straight but keeps falling over. We are seeing beans now, so the kids were happy to take some of those off, wash them up, and eat them. Over here, our glacier tomato has been producing really well. The kids actually just picked. These ones are not quite ready enough, so we've left them to get a little redder. The tops are still a little green, so they wanted to give them another day. Back here, our pumpkin is huge. We have a nice big pumpkin now, and I did take out that unruly thing that was climbing. We found out it was a burr cucumber, which is a native cucumber or native plant, but it was just taking over this entire space, which if you see here, that was a big space that it was taking over. And we have kind of a carrot patch over there, which isn't doing anything worth mentioning right now, because I did check the carrots yesterday and they were just little tiny thoughts of carrots. Over here, I did get a dahlia, so I was excited about that. Now I've got a second bud peeking through there. Over here, I did add some echinacea, but that's not taking so well because of the heat. I haven't been keeping up on watering it the way I should. Alright, now I'm going to pause and show you the big garden. Okay, entering the big garden. I've relocated my lavender to be in this little patch here because it was starting to have roots come out the bottom of its pot and get stuck to the ground, which I did not want. My clematis no longer has any flowers on it. It still has all this dead stuff going on this one, but the one on this side has a lot more green leaves and it's looking a lot better. Down here, my oregano is all doing little flowers, so I'm going to have to come out and cut that again, because I don't like when it does flowers. Then the stems get thick and kind of hard, and then you can't really do much with it as far as cooking. Not like when it's soft. Over here, we've still got violas coming up, and that little mystery squash thing is starting to make a flower. Even though it's only this big, it's flowering, which is quite comical, I'm not gonna lie. Over here, I've added a coleus, which my mom gave me. She snapped this off of her plant, drove it over to me. It was all wilty. She stuck it in water, and after a couple days it had nice roots, and now it's outside. And the pineapple's been relocated from where it was before to over here, and you can see it's looking so much happier. So we thought it was a soil thing. I never did get around to doing anything with the soil, but I did add Osmocote in there and moved it to a sunnier location, and it is bright green and very happy now. Over here is one of the tomato patches. So if you remember, these are the ones that I rooted from the suckers, and they actually have tomatoes all over them now. And it's only been, I think, 2 weeks since my last video. And in 2 weeks, we've got lots of tomatoes all over these sucker plants that I planted. So there's another one. These are the bigger ones. So let's see. This row over here is the big beef. So the big beef has some tomatoes on it. And then this next row, I think, is the German Johnson, and the German Johnson has the little tomatoes all over it. And then this last row over here is the Marbone, and they've got the tomatoes on them too. So you can see everything in my experimental sucker patch is doing really well. And then, as always, here's my little experiment tomato, which was the one that I snapped off and stuck straight in the ground without rooting it up like the other ones. So huge plants covered in tomatoes. They are only a week off from this one, which is a stick with some leaves at the top. So this just is proving that yes, your plant will live if you just snap it off and stick it in the dirt, but is it worth being lazy when just sticking it in water for a week resulted in I have tomatoes all over these plants? So just something to be mindful of since we were testing that. Oh, let's see, my chives are beginning to get some little flowers on them now. Oh, there's a little tiny viola right there. Let's see if I can get to focus. There we go. Little itty bitty tough viola. Alright, let's go around to this side. So on this side, I've got my thyme right there and there. And in here is my strawberry patch, which is making runners like crazy. So at some point, I'm going to find a bigger pot for this or figure out what bed I'm going to move it to, because if you see in there, there are runners all in there and it wants to go places. Then over here, I've got my green onions, and one is starting to make seeds. So I'm going to let it drop seeds in here. That's totally fine because I've got all this empty spot in the middle. So I might shake some of those out in there later. Now, the other day, I couldn't walk through here at all. If I walk down this pathway right here, I got hit with tomatoes on this side and I got hit with tomatoes on that side. So the first thing I was dealing with was I came in here and I staked this back so that this wasn't falling all over. This is more cherry tomato from, look how big this patch has gotten. It is taller than me. I am 5'7". I am not short. This is at least 6 foot. Like this is towering over me. Like I'm reaching my hand all the way up and I can barely touch that. So this thing is huge. And this has been producing purple tomatoes, which my daughter has been very excited to point out to me. She actually just picked one a little while ago. And the weight of this plant is so much that I had to tie it to the fence. There's my dog over there. So I had to tie it to the fence because the whole thing went that way. And I was like, oh boy. So then this one over here started going too. So I tied that because this stake right here was falling that way. So that's been fun. Down here are my crazy twirly peppers, which my husband doesn't like these. So my neighbor said that he enjoys them. So whenever it gives me some decent sized ones, I pick a bunch. I think it's called Kobani peppers. So the Kobani peppers get about this big and then they start twirling a little bit. And my neighbor said that he loves sauteing them. Oh, look what I found down here. I found, oh, it's got a split in it. These have been splitting super easily, so I don't know what's up with that. Sorry about my dog barking there. But there's some hiding down here. The bottom ones have been going purple while the top ones have been staying green because it's just going kind of crazy here. All right, let me throw this tomato to the animals back there. All right, so let me talk about this because I did this yesterday. So these tomato plants are a last minute item that my neighbor gave me. Mystery tomatoes, had no idea what they were. Oh, there's actually a deer walking right behind my garden. Let's see if I can see you, deer. Oh, there's 2 deer back there. See little deer butts. Yeah, there's some deer wandering through. Luckily, they don't like jumping in here because there's too many obstacles. So they will not jump in here. Also, the dog is a pretty good deterrent. That's probably what she was just barking at. So, back to the tomatoes since I got distracted by the deer. So these mystery tomatoes were from my neighbor, and he has no idea what they are. They're just whatever was given to him, and he calls them Italian tomatoes. So they are some kind of Italian tomatoes because they are making tomatoes now, and I see it's got a little blossom end rot, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the problem with this is these things fell all the way into the pathway, like really bad. So I was like, what am I going to do with this mess? I can't walk. And the other problem is this bed was primarily for my husband's hot cherry peppers. So that's what he asked me for this year. We actually got a whole jar's worth yesterday I picked. So he's pretty excited about that. And there's lots of green ones still on here that we'll get another batch, but he's so excited about that. But I didn't want that getting so overcrowded that it would affect the peppers. So these tomato plants that I really don't care about because they were a last minute addition. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try removing suckers. So last year was the first time I ever did removal of suckers. So I wasn't really sure what I was getting into with that. And I also saw somebody's video recently where they had removed all the lower stuff so that they'd have good airflow in the bottom. And I realized that this bed needed better airflow because as I was cleaning up some of this stuff down here, there were little mushrooms. Little mushrooms like here, there, and all over the place. I'm like, well, obviously the soil is too wet if I'm growing little scraggly mushrooms under here, and I don't really want that. So that just seemed like it was going to cause more issues for me than giving it some good airflow. Plus, by taking these back, I found my pepper plants back there, and I was like, oh, look at all the red peppers that I had no idea were there because all I could see was this dang thing here. So because I didn't really care about them, they're just an extra thing that I'm growing, I really went crazy on removing the suckers, removing the extra branches. So this thing was making suckers down here, 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 and they were making these big branches that were even taller than the main branch. And I didn't mind that so much, except these plants seem to be putting way more effort into creating more plant than to put any effort into the tomatoes or the flowers for the tomatoes. They were just making leaves, 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 and not really doing much. So since these were so behind the other plants that I have here, I wanted them to put more effort into their tomatoes. So that's why I really cropped a lot off of this yesterday. So I did leave all the leaves at the top. I have no problem with it having top leaves because that's not affecting my peppers, and it's giving it the airflow that I felt it really needed for this bed. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, they all are looking fine. They're not looking like they're overheated or anything like that. So we'll see how that goes. I'm curious. And I've also noticed that I've got some nice big sunflowers popping up in this bed now. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 big sunflowers coming up in here. So I'm excited for when those open. I'm going to walk around to this side of this bed because I've got the bush beans over here. And unfortunately, amongst the bush beans, I did see some pole bean grabby parts yesterday when I was doing this. I think they might have been on the ground here, I'm not sure. But I'm like, great, more of that. Yeah, look at this long thing. So this to me does not look like a bush bean. Yeah, that's actually got the Velcro part, so that's a pole bean. So I've got pole beans all where they don't belong. And I wouldn't mind so much if these things actually made some beans, but I'm seeing some flowers and not much in the way of beans. So that's actually really frustrating because we've got this whole bed here and it's going all the way up here now. And it's making leaves and it's growing up things, but I'm not seeing much as far as beans go. Like, let's see. The first start of little tiny beans. There's a little itty bitty bean right there. So you can see that's like nothing. It's like a thought of a bean. So I thought by now I'd actually have some beans. So I'm a little upset that it's taking so long for these, because I will be going away the beginning of August, and I was hoping to get a lot of things harvested before I go. Oh, there was a dang beetle. I was hoping to find things before I go, because I'm going to come back to a jungle and everything overripe. So I've already asked my neighbor and my friend to please come check on my plants for me and harvest things. So down here, let's start on this side. I've got some Philadelphia fleabane, which I did not plant. That's just a little wild thing that it's in a space I don't really care about, so sure, do that. And we've got in these buckets and pots the, what's this stuff called? Blackberry runners that I just kind of stuck in the pot, and I was like, I'll plant it where I want it later, which is going to be over where this blue tarp is. And then over here we've got some mint. I think that's one spearmint. Yeah, that's spearmint. And then here's one of our acorn squash things here. So going into the squash, I actually just had a great discovery. Let me see if I can get in here so you can see it. Where are you? Try to get the camera in where I can show you. There it is. There is a butternut squash in there, and it is like the length of the phone, so it is a nice big squash, so I'm pretty excited about that. So we'll see how that goes. So I did steal this trellis from out in the front garden, the kids' garden, when I took out that crazy thing. Sorry, I'm trying to walk through here without stepping on this plant that I just realized was in the path that I didn't notice was there before. Let me pause for a second because my kids are yelling. Okay, sorry about that. I just shooed them. I didn't want them back here. So I was looking at these, and there's a little tiny bud. So this is a female flower here, which will make, I think, an acorn squash, because it's round like an acorn squash. And when I was finding the ones on the butternut, they had a different shaped bud that looked like the butternut. Oh, here's one. I was like, I just saw one. So the butternut looks like a little tiny butternut, which is so cute. So that's obviously a female flower there, which is going to make a butternut squash. And then there's a bunch of just like male flowers just kind of hanging out here. So that's how you can tell the difference between the male and the female. The male are the flowers that stick up, and the female flower is tight to the plant. I'm trying to get to focus for you. Is tight to the plant and has a little bud of what it's doing. So you can see the difference there. So males, female. So if you ever were curious, there, you just learned something. Let's talk about the Romas. Oh, the Romas have been giving me such a headache this past week or so. So I was so excited to tell you about how they were getting color in them. And then I come to find out that all the ones that were getting color in them have blossom end rot. So that is just so fun and so aggravating on so many levels. So if you see down here, this leaf actually has like some white on it that's not like mold or anything. I watered this with Tums. I got a bag of Tums. Well, I got like a 70 count Tums. I put half of it in a Ziploc bag. My husband pounded it with a mallet that had what's it called? Little bumps in the mallet. So it ended up putting a bunch of holes in the Ziploc bag. So then I filled up the bag, and it was like a water bag. And because of all the holes, it just kind of like poured water all over. And I just shook it all over the plant. I shook it like down here, and I shook it all over. Anywhere in around the dirt I could get, but because I couldn't get into the dirt that well, because you can see like there's a lot of plant here. So I just poured it everywhere, and I filled it and poured it and filled it and poured it until all the Tums were all over this plant to try and prevent this. So the reason for blossom end rot is calcium. So with it being an insanely hot summer, these plants are struggling to get the calcium out of the soil. These plants actually were planted with eggshells all around to try and help prevent the blossom end rot. But because of it being such a hot summer, The roots are having a hard time taking the calcium in from the soil, is what I was getting from reading things. So if I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry, but the gist is crazy hot, plants need calcium, added calcium, hoping to prevent more of this sadness. So I've actually been throwing this back under this bush to the animals. But anytime I find a red one, it's bad. So that's really upsetting. So I see some red ones over here. We'll see. Yep. Lost another one. So this has been incredibly disappointing because I was really looking forward to doing tomato sauce this year, and it's not looking promising from my bed of romas. And I kind of went crazy like buying romas and planting them and putting a lot of effort into them, and yeah. So that's blossom end rot. This one's not terrible. That Italian tomato over there that had a little spot of it, I'm going to let it go because it wasn't that bad. These green ones do not have it. So it's only the ones that were turning red that were showing signs of it for some annoying reason, which I don't know. And here's some sunflowers. The sunflowers are looking great. I actually took the heads of 2 of them off the plant so I could keep seeds. So I took the seeds out and gave whatever was left to the birds, which they seemed to like it. They were all over the place. Look at how tall this sunflower is back here. That is way tall. Ooh, that is a vulture that just flew overhead. Isn't that cool? He just landed in the tree right there. I think they must nest in a tree or something. They're always in there. That's some kind of a pine tree back there that they like. Anyway, so we've got, beyond our wildlife tour, the sunflowers towering here, and I see a little peak of yellow, so that's exciting. That should open pretty soon. It might even open tomorrow. We'll see. That'd be cool. So, moving on from the disappointing romas to over here, we've got more sunflowers. So I'm going to start with the sunflowers because sunflowers make me happy. It makes me forget the sad parts. Pretty sunflowers. Oh, there's one coming up here. Oh, this one looks like it's going to have the red center. That's fun. So this one was like a mix bag. So that one's like yellow. That one's got like the little red center. And then over here, let me zoom in. That one's more of a rusty color than the red center. So like this one's like yellow with red, and that one's like a rustier color. I don't really know. But I really enjoy them. So I'm going to keep seeds off of everything to do them next year. I do not keep seeds to eat. I keep the seeds for the birds, whatever I don't keep. So we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about the zooks. Zucchini have had some issues going on here. And I don't think I got to talk to about it. This is actually doing great right now. The other day, all the branches were like dying. And let me go down here, and you can see the stem of this has some damage. So that sucker got chewed up. And I had leaves like this, like yellow leaves like this. And I'm not really going to pull on this because I don't have gloves on and these things are kind of pokey and I don't want to do that. But I was pulling the leaves and I had white, like grub looking things falling out into the ground that was squishing, which was majorly gross. We'll just go with that because I did not see that coming, and that just was nope for me. So my kid was out here at the time and they're like, what is that? And I'm like, it's a bug. It's not supposed to be there. Okay, let's see. Here's some cucumbers hiding down here. So I've got some nice big cucumbers I'm going to have to come out here and harvest. Maybe tomorrow I'll get those because I had a long day and I'm tired. So that's why I'm doing a garden tour instead of gardening. I spent so much time out here yesterday taking care of that tomato patch over there, removing all that stuff. I was sunburned like really bad when I got in yesterday. I also removed the bok choy. So the bok choy wasn't doing all that much. It was just kind of hanging out there. I took seeds out of it and I just pulled it because I would rather this bed be used for something useful. Although that is going to be shady from all of that. So I'm going to have to find something that doesn't mind some shade, because it's going to get probably sun. The sun comes this way in the morning, so it will get morning sun. But then, as you can see, like the afternoon sun is like over there is where the sun sets. So, yeah, that's not going to get afternoon sun. Here are, what are these things called again? Leeks. Here's my leeks. So I let the leeks go to seed, which I had talked about before, and I love how that looks. Isn't that so fun? So I let the leeks go to seed. There's another one. Oh, look at all the purple tomatoes hiding back there. So I'm going to collect seeds, and I'm going to grow leeks. And I gotta look up when to plant the leeks. But I am going to try doing layered planting this year. So as this came out, something else is going to go in, and then I actually have planned to do fall planting for August. So by then, I'm thinking that this bed is probably going to be coming out of the Romas, because these are supposed to be a determinate variety, so they're all supposed to bloom pretty much the same time, like all supposed to turn red around the same time. And once that happens, then I can pull that whole bed, and once I pull all that, then I'll have a bed available for doing fall planting, which would be trying my hand at things like spinaches and lettuces and the cooler weather crops I'm not so good at, that I haven't dabbled in much. This will be my first year trying fall planting. I've never done it before. And I'm going to try fall bok choy, since the spring bok choy that I was given, it was way too hot for it, so it bolted right away, and I really couldn't get anything off of it, also because of leaf miners, which I don't know if I talked about leaf miners before. Let me see if I can see. I know. Okay, so leaf miners was this thing right here. That would be a bug is crawling around in your leaf, and bok choy being the part that you want to eat is the leaves. I was not going to eat the bugs. That just sounded gross, so no. Let's talk about this bed over here that I also did a little bit of cleanup with yesterday. So I've got some sunflowers in here. That's a sunflower right there. And then I've got this crazy, I don't know what kind of tomato this is. I was told it would be a big tomato. So far it's looking like a big tomato, but oh my goodness, the ridges on this are really fun. I have no idea what it is, but the ridges, I love it. It is doing that kind of, I think it's called a cat's face. I just learned about that today. When your heirloom style tomatoes do this kind of weird thing here, it's called cat's face. So it's edible, it's totally fine. It's typical of heirloom tomatoes. So I have no idea what variety I have, but yeah, that's, even the kids came out here and were like, what is with these tomatoes? They're so weird. And then hiding under here, I just found all my hidden basil, which was like really crowded under this. Like I really took back a lot of this yesterday so that my basil could survive. This stick is actually leaning, so I gotta figure out how to stake that back up, because I can't even walk here. It's like hitting me in the face. I've got a rogue. What's going on here? This sunflower is planted down there. It's like there, and it's all the way over here. So that's fun. Yeah, that's not where I planted you. I mean, if that's where you want to be, I guess that's okay. And down here I've got my forgotten pepper. I actually forgot about this being here until just now. Oh, so that's a Pantera pepper, and I can actually harvest that. I'm going to take that in with me. Wonder if there's any more hiding on here. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I got another big one. I can't pop it off. It's like stuck. Come on. I've got a few of them actually down here. Look at the size of these things. I did not know that these were on here, because it was hidden behind everything else that's growing in this patch. So my basil, I'm so excited about the basil. So the basil did very badly to start the year, and I was really concerned. It wasn't really growing. These were like little, these were like single leaves for the longest time. And now they're actually growing, and I'm pretty excited about that. And look at these. So these marigolds, I honestly had no idea if these would work. So I went to Walmart and they had these plants that were dead. I'm not even kidding. Like, the plants were completely dead, but they had the marigold seeds sticking on them. And I just like grabbed one or two of them and oh gee, sorry, I just turned the camera. For the heck of it, I was like, oh, you know what? Let me just throw some marigold seeds from the dead section of Walmart in the ground and see if it does anything. I'm gonna put these here until I'm done. And surprisingly, they grew. I was not expecting them to grow. I really wasn't. I did that like as a ha-ha, like, oh, there's a dead plant. Let me see if it will grow. It did. So this actually is really funny. Yesterday, as I was taking care of that big plant, this plant next to it was actually part of it. So there's that one over there. This is a second one that I got at the same time. And then I've got like this mini cherry tomato and it's planted over here and I have no memory of putting it there. So yeah, I don't think I would have put a mini cherry next to my big ones because I don't like cross pollination happening so much when they're side by side. But yeah, I apparently did, or maybe somebody gave it to me and like, here's a mystery tomato, which, you know what, that's probably what happened. They probably said, here's a mystery tomato. I stuck it in having no idea it was a cherry tomato. That sounds like what I would do. So here's something exciting. First off, I had to extra stake this because this was falling that way. And this one, let me see. Oh, where'd my tag go? Okay, so this plant is the Marbone. Oh, look at that. So I actually got the most delicious tomato off of this yesterday that I had with dinner. And I loved it. And there's a bug. Why is there a bug on my tomato? Shoot. So I got an absolutely delicious Marbone tomato off this yesterday. It was like, oh, the size of my hand. And I had that with dinner. And I have a second one. And then besides that, what are you called? My big beef. My big beef. Look at the size of these tomatoes. Here, let me put my hand down here. My hand, it fills my hand. This tomato is huge. And you see this? This is freaking dog's bane. I'm always in here pulling this dang stuff out and it keeps sneaking in again. Here's another one. So I'm gonna have to come through and remove that with gloves because it, this stuff has a white milky liquid like milkweed, and if it gets on you, it's like poisonous and will sting and or something. So I don't know exactly what we'll do, but I've been told don't touch it by my gardening group, so I'm going to not touch it. So that plant needs to go, but I will not pull it with my hands because I don't want to find out why. Ugh, I just walked into something here. Oh, look. So this one, let me see. This is my German Johnson down here. So this, I'm pretty sure this is from the German Johnson. Let me see. So look at the size of this tomato. I'm gonna like zoom, like this is the size of my hand. It is heavy. I love it. I'm so excited about this right now because I did not know I had a ripe tomato hiding in here. That was not there yesterday. So let me see. That is, oh, that's off the big beef because here's the main stem of that. So that is big beef, not German Johnson. Let me check on the German Johnson on this side. Oh, look at that. They're pink. Oh my goodness, these were not here yesterday. They are pink. I have a pink tomato. Oh my goodness, that's so fun. Look at the difference in color. I've got the red big beef, and then I've got pink German Johnson tomatoes. So look at these hanging out back here. Oh my goodness, this is actually one tomato. That just kind of surprised me. Oh, come on, come off. Look at the size of this thing. It looks like a butt. That is hilarious. I have a pink tomato that looks kind of like a butt. Or a heart. Let's go with a heart. My kids would call it a butt. And they would laugh because that's what kids do. Let's see what else is back here. Oh, look at that. There's another one back there. Sorry, I'm trying to pick and hold the camera at the same time. Oh my goodness, there's a few back here. You know, this is what I get for putting my harvest basket back in the house. I didn't think I was going to come out here and pick. I didn't think there was anything to pick. Look at all these pink tomatoes. So these ones need another day. So what's going on here in Pennsylvania is we had a crazy heat wave where it was like 99 and 100 degrees for over a week. And what I've been hearing is that tomatoes will stay green like this unless the temperature is about 70, I think it was 78 to 85 degrees is when your tomatoes will go ripe. So today is beautiful temperature. Like it's like overcast today. Ooh, look at the sunset. It's overcast today. It's not too humid out here. Like I'm out here and it's actually really comfortable today. I have a slight breeze, like just enough to make the plants wiggle a little bit, barely a breeze. But yeah, so because the temperature dropped yesterday, I'm seeing tomatoes. Oh geez, something ate that one. And there goes my dog barking again. So let's throw that away. So all of a sudden these tomatoes are ripening because the temperature has dropped. So all of a sudden I went from this all week to this today, when yesterday I had a little bit like that. So it's so exciting. I'm so excited to share this with you because I was not expecting this. And then over here I've got my parsley's happy, my rosemary's looking happy, my ornamental grasses are completely invading, which I hate this stuff. It is like razor wire. It is rubbing against me and it hurts. My fig is looking really good. So I don't remember if I said in one of my past videos, but my mom comes over and she drinks coffee and I do not. So anytime she stays over and drinks coffee, I'm like, oh, save the coffee grounds. So I just threw some fresh coffee grounds on this morning that my mom had left for me. But this fig is looking great. Like every time I look at it, it's a little bigger, it's a little stronger, and I'm quite happy with that. My potatoes are starting to turn kind of yellow. So this says to me that it's going to be time to harvest that soon. So these are all turning yellow. And this, all of a sudden, is curling. It was not doing this when I checked on it yesterday, when I was out here all day. So all of a sudden, we've got this leaf curl going on. Not sure what's up with that. Sorry I can't really get the focus with all the stupid grass in the way. It's making me itch too. Oh, it's so itchy. Oh my goodness, it's itchy. I think I saw zucchini when I was just over here. Where are you? I just saw zucchini. There's a zucchini. Although it looks like something's chewing it up. I've got the bugs. I didn't have bugs, and now I have things chewing this up. Ugh. Let's see. My itty bitty thought of blueberries. I don't even think this counts as a blueberry. They're so tiny. Like they're tiny. That's not even a blueberry. That's comical. Ooh, the sky just got beautiful. Sorry, I had to show you. Look at sunflower with pretty sky. Isn't that picturesque? Okay, so I think that pretty much concludes things. So I've put the tomatoes down over there. I've put the peppers down over here. I'm going to come back through with my harvest basket here to grab these things. Unless I can grab my kid. I don't know that they're still out here. I hear a kid somewhere. I think it's the little one. So, yeah, sunflowers are doing great. My goodness, the sky is just giving me a show right now. I absolutely love it. So my lantana down here is changing colors. So this is not really native, but I for some reason have a soft spot in my heart for this, as it being just really cool. Like, I love the fact that as this grows, it changes colors. So it does the yellow, the orange, and the red. And this particular one my kids actually asked me to get because it had pink and red. So my daughter likes pink and orange, and my son loves the color red, so they asked me to get this because it had both the colors they really enjoyed. And for some reason, I've just always been fascinated by the fact that as it grows, it changes colors. So like it starts out yellow, like it starts out like this thing and then turns yellow, and then this happens, and it's just gorgeous. And it makes me so happy to see this little pop of color just hidden in the corner of my yard amongst all this green. So it's like green, 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 great pop of happy color. So yeah, let me back up here, and here's an overview of my jungle of a garden. Hidden in there is the watering thing. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I have had a couple new subscribers, so I hope I'm doing something that you guys like. Have a great day.